Hello there.
We need to discuss the Cerean in the room. Evidently everyone's favorite Jedi that they never gave two Siths about before. Ki-Adi-Mundi, and one line he says in the Phantom Menace.
The Sith have been extinct for a millennium.
Now, a few months ago, when the trailer for the Acolyte was released, this scene of a bunch of Jedi facing a dark side user with a red lightsaber made a small but vocal segment of the quote-unquote fandom freak out, because they felt it broke the canon of that single line spoken by our large-headed Jedi Master, considering the events of the Acolyte take place 100 years before the Phantom Menace. These sticklers for canon were reinvigorated by the appearance of a young Ki-Adi-Mundi in the 4th episode of The Acolyte, screaming that how could he claim the Sith have been extinct if he was alive for, and someone involved in, this crisis. Let's analyze this one step at a time. First, it needs to be pointed out that when Ki-Adi-Mundi says the Sith have been extinct for 1,000 years, he is just flat out wrong. That's not to say that he or the Jedi as a whole don't believe this to be true, it's just not true. 1,000 years earlier, the Sith and the Jedi fought in a great war that resulted in a Jedi victory in which they believed they completely wiped the Sith off the face of the galaxy. While this is one of the least explored and fleshed out eras in canon, one indisputable fact is that the Sith survived, led by Darth Bane, who instituted the rule of two, meaning that there should only ever be 2 Sith Lords at any given time, to eliminate the infighting that had made them vulnerable to the Jedi. Curiously, this rule was instituted after the Jedi believed the Sith to be extinct, yet Yoda somehow knew about it.
Always 2 there are. No more, no less. A master and an apprentice.
But that's a discussion for another day. Darth Bane's grand plan was that the Sith would live in the shadows and allow the Jedi to believe them to be extinct, biding their time until they could challenge the Jedi again. This is all to say that during the 1,000 years from the end of that war until the Phantom Menace, the Sith were alive and well and not at all extinct. Second, the Jedi have a history of doubting the existence of the Sith. In multiple instances of being shown evidence of Sith behavior, they either don't consider the Sith as a possibility, such as this scene in Episode 4 of The Acolyte.
Someone has trained her.
Could this be a splinter order?
Or they just flat out refuse the validity of such a suggestion, as in multiple scenes of the prequels, starting with the Jedi Council scene in question.
My only conclusion can be that it was a Sith Lord.
Impossible. The Sith have been extinct for a millennium.
To Obi-Wan Kenobi doubting Count Dooku when he literally spells out the Sith agenda to him in Attack of the Clones.
Hundreds of senators are now under the influence of a Sith Lord called Darth Sidious.
I don't believe you.
I mean, even after Obi-Wan, Anakin, and Yoda face a powerful Count Dooku complete with red lightsaber and Force lightning, Yoda downplays the Sith question.
Do you believe what Count Dooku said about Sidious controlling the Senate? It doesn't feel right.
Join the dark side, Dooku has. Lies, deceit, creating mistrust are his ways now.
Curiously, Yoda does not say, join the Sith, but rather, join the dark side, which brings us to point 3. There is ample evidence that the dark side of the Force is a prevalent and constant concern for the Jedi, and they do not equate the dark side with the Sith. There is that scene from The Acolyte in which they allude to splinter groups of Jedi, which is how the Sith originally began, by the way, and Yoda constantly warns of the risks of falling to the dark side.
Fear is the path to the dark side. But beware of the dark side. Anger, fear, aggression. The dark side of the Force are they.
In the High Republic book series, that take place an additional 100 years or so before The Acolyte, there are Jedi that flirt with the dark side of the Force, such as Elzar Mann, whose traumatic experiences against the villainous Nihil led him to being briefly seduced by the dark side, using its power against those same Nihil. And 150 years before that, a Jedi named Azlin Rel straight up fell to the dark side, but was insistent that not only was he not a Sith, even as a dark side user, he wasn't an enemy of the Jedi. So rest easy, Ki-Adi-Mundi Nation. His one line from the Phantom Menace will not be contradicted, and Star Wars' flawless record of maintaining perfect canon remains intact.
Your father wanted you to have this when you were old enough, but your uncle wouldn't allow it.
Except for that.
Leia, do you remember your mother? Your real mother?
Just a little bit. She died when I was very young.
Okay, so maybe not flawless. Perhaps everyone just needs to relax and accept that this is all make-believe and intended to be fun. Thanks for spending this time with us.
This is the way.
We'd love to hear your thoughts. And if you enjoyed this video,
make it so.
Be sure to share, like, and subscribe for more insightful analysis and positive vibes. Coming to you from the final frontier and a galaxy far, far away. live long, and may the Force be with you.